I never expected my life to change in the frozen food section of a small-town grocery store, but that's exactly what happened on an overcast Tuesday afternoon. I had just moved back to Lakewood, a sleepy place in Oregon, where I grew up. After finishing college in Portland, I returned to take care of Mom after her surgery. She raised me alone, and though she rarely spoke about the past, she always made sure I knew one thing: my father didn't want me, so I never asked questions. That day I was picking out frozen peas when a man next to me dropped a bag of crinkle-cut fries. Our eyes met as I bent to help him. There was something strangely familiar in his face. A flicker of recognition. "I couldn't place thank you," he said, smiling gently. His voice was calm, but something in it made my heart stutter, like a song you haven't heard in years but somehow still remember. I nodded awkwardly and turned away, but I couldn't shake the feeling. Who was this man? I kept walking, pushing my cart down the aisle, but my mind was frozen. Like the vegetables I just picked, his face wouldn't leave me. Not because he was especially handsome, though he had kind eyes and a kind smile, but because he looked like someone I should know. Later that evening, while Mom rested, I sat on the porch sipping tea and staring at the mountains. The stranger's face floated in my mind, but what gnawed at me more was the feeling that came with it, like I had just walked past a piece of myself I didn't know was missing. The next morning, I mentioned him to Mom casually. "Weird thing," I said. "Ran into someone at the store who looked familiar." She froze, her hands trembled slightly as she poured coffee. "Oh, small town," she mumbled, avoiding my eyes. "It was small, yes, but not that small." And her reaction. Way too much for a random stranger. That's when I knew there was something she wasn't telling me. I couldn't let it go. That same night while Mom slept, I went digging through the dusty boxes she kept in the attic. Old photos, birthday cards, receipts, pieces of a life carefully edited. Then I found it, a photo yellowed and creased, with a man standing next to her, holding a baby me. He had the same deep-set eyes, the same half-smile I saw yesterday in the grocery store. I stared at it for a long time, heart pounding. It wasn't just resemblance, it was certainty. That man was my father, the man she said never wanted me. When I confronted Mom the next morning, her face crumpled like the photo in my hand. Tears welled up in her eyes. "You were so little when he left. I didn't want you to grow up with disappointment. But he's here," I whispered, "in town, yesterday at Miller's Market." She sank into the chair, silent for a long time. "I never thought you'd meet him," she said. "He never knew you were here. I didn't know whether to scream, cry, or walk out the door. He never knew," I asked, my voice shaking. "You told me. He didn't want me." Mom wiped her eyes with the sleeve of her sweater. "I was scared when he left. We were barely adults. He said he needed time, space, and I found out I was pregnant after he disappeared. I thought it would be easier for both of us if I raised you alone." "Easier for who?" I snapped my chest tight, because it wasn't easy for me. I stormed out, heart pounding in my ears. The cool Oregon air hit my face like a slap. I needed to see him again, talk to him, ask him the questions that had lived in my heart since I was old enough to wonder. I went back to the grocery store the next day. I stood near the freezer aisle like some sad ghost, hoping to be seen, and then he walked in again. Same aisle, same gentle walk this time. He saw me first, and he stopped. He paused, grocery basket in hand, eyes narrowing as he studied my face. I said, voice barely above a whisper. "I think we met the other day." He nodded slowly, hesitant. "Yeah, with the fries." There was a beat of silence, a long one. My heart raced so loudly. I was sure he could hear it. "I think we might know each other." From a long time ago, his brow furrowed. "I'm sorry, should I know you?" I pulled the photo from my pocket, the same one I found in the attic. I handed it to him without a word. He took it, stared for a moment, then looked up at me. His eyes welled up. Is that you?" I nodded, biting my lip to keep the tears back. "My name is Emma," I said, voice trembling, "and I think you're my father." His hand shook, the photo fluttered slightly in his grip. I had no idea. "Emma," he stopped. There were 1,000 words behind his eyes, but none came out, and I didn't know if I wanted to hear them. We stood there, two strangers in a public place, bound by blood and years of silence. I didn't know, he finally said. Your mom. She never told me. She said you left. I replied, voice tight. She said you didn't want me. He blinked, pain flickering across his face. I never even knew she was pregnant. I was young and stupid, but I never would have abandoned a child. Never. His words hit hard. I wanted to believe him. I needed to believe him. But how do you rebuild something that was never built to begin with? We sat on the bench outside the store, just breathing for a moment. He told me his name, Mark, that he'd moved back to Lackwood 2 years ago after a divorce, that he came to that store every Thursday after work. I can't believe I walked past you all this time, he whispered. I didn't answer. My heart was a storm, years of wondering, of longing, now crashing into reality, and I wasn't sure if I was ready to forgive either of them. In the days that followed, I couldn't stop thinking about that moment. Sitting beside Mark, my father, hearing his voice, seeing the sadness in his eyes, it felt like flipping through a photo album of memories that never existed. We met again the next week, this time at a quiet cafe near the lake. He brought an old shoebox with him, full of photos, letters he never sent, drawings from when he thought about becoming a dad someday. He had saved a part of himself for a child he never knew he had. It was overwhelming. You don't have to forgive me, he said, but I want to know you. I don't want to miss another day. I stared at the lake outside the window, trying to picture my life with a father in it. Would I have been different, happier, less guarded? I don't know what I need from you, I said honestly, but I want to figure it out. His eyes softened. Then let's start with coffee. And for the first time, I smiled. Things with Mark didn't change overnight. We started slowly, weekly lunches, awkward small talk, careful steps like we were learning to dance on uneven ground. He asked about my childhood. I told him stories carefully curated, still unsure how much of myself to share. At the same time, things at home grew tense. Mom avoided the topic and I avoided her. There was a wall now, built of years of silence and the truth she chose not to tell. One night, I came home late and she was waiting at the kitchen table. You're seeing him, she said, her voice barely holding steady. I am, I answered. I need to. Tears welled in her eyes. I thought I was protecting you. I didn't want him to hurt you like he hurt me. I sat down across from her. But he's my pain to risk. She reached across the table, her hand trembling. I was wrong. I see that now. For the first time we cried together, not from blame but from the beginning of understanding. Spring came early that year. The trees in Lakewood bloomed, as if the town itself was trying to start over. Just like we were. Mark and I kept meeting. It wasn't perfect. Sometime I felt like a child learning how to say dad without choking on it, but he was patient, present, and that mattered more than anything. Mom joined us once, weeks later. It was quiet at first, but then they started talking, slowly, cautiously. I watched the two people who made me, both broken in different ways, trying to piece something new together. One Sunday, we sat on a park bench. Me, Mom, and Mark, we shared stories and laughter. Not about what we'd lost, but what we might still have. I miss so much, he whispered as we watched the sunset. You're here now, I said. That's what counts. And for the first time in my life, I felt whole, not because everything was fixed, but because I finally understood the truth and chose to build something beautiful from it.